Let's pack it in and leave early. Good morning, Vin. Here he goes.
Good morning, Michael. Sorry, I got something. I don't know what it
Vinny,
is,
Vinny's on the edge of something. Uh, are
and
you coughing?
it's not something in the way I move.
Well, don't get that coughing thing. As my grandmother would have said, it liked to kill me.
Oh yeah,
So we may do a short show today because Vinny's under the weather. It's freezing in Seattle, but it's 56 degrees here in Pasadena and sunny, and we can't handle the weather. It was cold overnight, and I was just saying to Vinny, people in California get just as cold as everybody else. Yes, in Vermont it's freezing. Yes, in Colorado it's snowing. But there's something about California cold that goes right through your clothes. It can't be described. But it's not that cold. Why are you complaining? I know what you're saying, but California cold goes right through you. Doesn't make any sense, but it's a fact.
well, I always thought that something happened. I mean, I noticed this when I was young, and I was one of those guys back east. Excuse me.
You're from back east?
Yes, I don't know if you knew that, but I was one of those guys from back east that could go out there like in a t-shirt in a snowstorm and start shoveling. I mean, I
You,
didn't.
you didn't take to the cold like so many people do.
Cold really never bothered me. And then I went out west, went to California, stayed some time in Arizona in the summertime.
And you were ruined.
Excuse me. And it completely changed my temperature clock. I remember the first winter that I was back in New York after I had gone to Tucson. I was as cold as I mean, I was walked out of the house in the first cold weather, and I mean, it was cold in my bones. I'd never felt cold in my bones before.
You were totally acclimated as a good boy from Queens.
Yeah, if it did my blood or whatever it did, but man, all of a sudden, I had to have the temperature up in the house and everything, and I was like, "Oh man, this is not good." So, and I got to admit that I'm starting to get that feeling up here.
Yeah. By the way, has Hunter Biden been in Seattle today? Because he's everywhere. He was in Washington, and yesterday he was in LA. And I just wondered, is he going to go interview for Pete Carroll's job in Seattle?
He's probably going to stop by. Yes, Pete Carroll in Seattle. We need to talk about that a little bit.
Maybe Hunter Biden could get the Carolina job. Nobody wants it.
Yeah.
In fact, nobody wants the Tennessee Titan job for that matter.
Well, somebody wants it. I mean, somebody is going to. Yeah, what you should be saying is anybody of repute.
He'll have a whole can of repute. He'll have a whole pickup truck full of repute by the time he shows up, whoever
Yeah,
it
that's
is.
what you're looking for. You're looking for a guy. You're looking for somebody that has no fear of ill repute. So they have a lot of repute.
But sir, you are identified with ill repute. No, no, no. You misunderstand. I'm identified just with repute. There's all kinds of repute. It's all mixed together.
As a matter of fact, pute is what I bring to this job. I have more pute than anybody else you'll interview for this job. And what happens is I am totally into recycling. So not only do you get pute, but you get repute.
Well, Bubba, you got the job. It's yours if you want it.
Well, I'll see who else is out there, and I'll call you back on Tuesday for a job offer left today.
Yeah, I got to go to Wimpy University. See if they
Pete
want me.
Carroll, that was a shocker. I don't know that there were many people, and now, of course, everybody says, "Oh, I could see this coming." Um, I mean, I remember thinking after the last game,
That didn't end well.
Well, they won it, but they didn't. They there were times in the season when the defense just looked horrible,
which is his specialty.
and he was a good front man on the sidelines. Everybody loved watching Pete Carroll on the sidelines. Turned into this cartoon, and he was probably the best coach they've ever had as far as relations with fans.
Well, can he have the University of Washington job when DeBoer goes to Alabama?
Well, I think there's a lot of talk. This is DeBoer's. They're going to make him a mega offer to coach the Seahawks. A lot of scuttlebutt. And if I'm
Can you coach both? Can you coach both teams?
no, even though one's on Saturday and one's on Sunday, the practices are all during the week. You got to be there for both. I will caution Kalen DeBoer, the head coach of the UW Huskies, about that before he talks to those folks down in Alabama, before he picks up that phone from the people of Alabama, before his agent picks up that phone and says,
"Yeah, we'll be there Tuesday.
We'll come on down," and they're already making calls to Destiny. That you think that you talk to Mike Price, that you call Mike Price and you talk to Mike Price and you say, what is it like down there?
What was the name of that club?
What is it like when you get in that room and you got all those
good old boys.
Good old boys, thank you. All those good old boys sitting there and questioning about your beliefs and wondering if you go to church every Sunday and are you a Christian man?
How come your name is so strange? We've never heard of Kalen, and we don't know what a DeBoer is.
And what the hell is that? What the hell is that DeBoer? Is that a African name? Is that a Dutch name? What is that? Are you a white boy?
They still pay their bonuses down there in Confederate money.
Well, my suggestion to Kalen DeBoer, stay as far away from Alabama as you can. Let them go get some inbred from down there to run that team.
Tommy Tuberville, maybe go ask Tommy if he's doing anything.
Yeah, Tommy would come out of the Senate. Matter of fact, he'd say, "Listen, I'm not doing much here anyway, except kicking some names and taking some ass."
I've done what I could.
Yeah, I've done what I could. I got my name in the papers, just like Donnie told me to. What about me taking that job?
Could he have both jobs? Could he be senator / coach?
He's just the guy that they're looking for, probably. So who knows? Maybe although I don't think he's. I can't see him go. I'll tell you what. I can't see him going to the Army, West Point, or to any of the Navy or the Air Force Academy and recruiting anybody or trying to get somebody from there on his team. I just don't think he's going to be welcome.
No, we're past that, Vinny. We're past that.
I don't think he's going to be welcome there, Tommy Tuberville.
He can take Alabama so it'd be ranked below the Golden Gophers in preseason.
I think that, going back to Pete Carroll and the Seahawks, I think it's going to be, I think this signals a change for the Seahawks. Because under normal times, the Seahawks would have stuck with Pete Carroll until he wanted to retire. They would have stuck with him 2 more years. They would have fought off all of the questions about, does he still have it? Does he still run the is he still got control of the team? And
is there really any doubt about that, Ben?
Oh, I think there were whispers. Yeah, I think there were whispers, and there were some people on the radio in town saying, listen, we've run our course with Pete Carroll. Now, listen, from experience that I am not and was not and the biggest Pete Carroll fan in the world. I think
I was a bigger fan because we went to the same high school.
right.
All hail Redwood High.
Right,
Honor her
you're a
name.
fan, and it absolutely chafed me that he became coach of the Seahawks.
So
It
you were chafed for
absolutely,
14 years.
yeah, and luckily I was gone for 11 of them. But he did, he had the magic touch to get his players on the same page. He came in with decent players. He won 7-9 his first 2 years, but he was putting in his system, and but on that third year, they were a legitimate team again.
And remember, he didn't find his mojo until he got to USC. After that, he was considered a
Right.
premier coach.
Right. And my reasons for not liking him stemmed from he just seemed to be at USC a dirty coach. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but it was the feeling I got off him.
You just were angry because I kept playing that same damn song all over again. Dun, 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 dun,
Oh,
dun,
yeah,
dun,
but
dun,
to
dun.
be fair, Michael, I bought Tusk.
Well, you should have. It was an
Yeah, I think it was a great,
underrated, forward-looking album.
yeah, it was a great album. And watched the video with them marching with the USC marching band, so I couldn't hate him that much. But and what happened over the years is actually I finally got to meet him. I went to a Seahawks game, covered a Seahawks game back in Washington, and got to be in the locker room for one of his post game speeches. And the demeanor of the guy, his personality, kind of won me over in a lot of ways. I won't say that I'm not going to lie to anybody and say that I thought he was the greatest choice for the Seahawks or the best coach for the Seahawks. But you know what? He probably was the best choice for that team, and he probably indefinitely, indubitably, is the best coach that team ever had.
Now, do you think he's going to coach again, or is he going to stay
I don't,
in his
I don't
advisor
think
role?
so. He's staying part of the organization, which means they'll get an office in community affairs, and he'll be there to.
He has to give up his head off. He has to give up his current office.
I don't know. You know, those things run strange. I don't think if I were Jody Allen, I'd let him keep the damn office.
Yeah,
I'd say,
I
you know,
would
you just
too.
stay here where you feel comfortable.
And it'll make us feel like we're on the right track just knowing that you're in that room.
Right. And the head coach can take we'll build them out. We'll knock down two of those little offices. And we'll make him a bigger office down there so he won't feel like
Give him a corner suite.
yeah, and we'll take your office and we'll put some blinds up on it so it doesn't feel like you're looking at him over all the time.
Well, they've got some choices to make, and they don't have a lot of candidates. And let's not make this choice the same way we made the choice about Gino. Let's do a true national search. In fact, I thought Belichick was a lock for the Chargers, but wouldn't you rather have the Seahawks if you had the opportunity and you wanted to coach and you were Bill Belichick?
Uh, I'll tell you one. I'll tell you one guy. I've mentioned him before. I don't know if they'd be able to pry him away, but he is the guy I would love to see as the head coach of of the Seahawks, and that is Mike Tomlin of the Steelers.
Hmm.
I would, if I were the Seahawks, I'd go there and I'd offer him a ton of money.
Resign today. Here's our handshake deal. Be in Seattle on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think that.
But his deal
Uh,
probably locks him in. Tomlin's
I'm not
deal.
sure what his current deal is, and I think it would be emotional for him to go. You know, but he's a proven winner. He is he's a class act.
He doesn't wither under the criticism.
Right. He doesn't care about the creed. Doesn't it looks like he doesn't even hear it.
I hope
So
that's the case.
he knows how to handle the media. He knows how to coach a football game. And that's
And the players love him.
yes, players will go through a wall for him. And he takes him out of a situation where a quarter of the team doesn't like him because a quarter of the people, maybe even more than a quarter of the people in the city, don't like him because he's black.
That's
And
it's an embarrassing fact for Pittsburgh to
yeah,
have
it
to
is.
face.
It is. It is. But you're in Pennsylvania, and it's just a large number of people, especially from outside the Pittsburgh city limits, that are going to think that way. Get themselves a white boy to coach that team.
And white linebackers. We got to have more white linebackers.
So I don't know, Mikey. I think that's the.
Uncover the optical secret that opticians don't.
I think that's the.
Well, what's the secret? Come on, don't keep me in suspense. What is the optical secret that the opticians don't want anyone to know?
I don't know. I stopped looking at it. Uh, you need two eyes. You ever notice, Michael, that anybody with a microphone and a pair of headsets can be on YouTube?
It ain't right.
There's some ridiculousness to it.
Well, there's a lot of ridiculous things going around, like this idea that all linebackers should be white in Pittsburgh. What are you going to do with that idea?
I don't know if that's a.
That's a thing.
And as I said before, I don't. I just want to ask because one of our listeners, William King, wrote in, might he go back to L.A. join the Chargers? I don't think Pete Carroll is going to get another head coaching job. I just don't think that that's in the cards for him. I think he's done what he's done, and
Well, a lot of the comments yesterday were that it was a bit of a shock, and Pete seemed a little reluctant in his wording to accept the fact that he was out.
yeah, I don't. But I don't think that he's gonna. And it's interesting to me from what I could gather from everything I read and everything. He, the main mover behind this whole thing was Jody Allen. So that's interesting.
Money does get a vote.
Yes, money gets a vote. So I guess the candidate that everybody is talking about up here is Dan Quinn from Atlanta. Defensive coordinator, who used to coach Atlanta, now he's at Dallas. So he didn't do a great job in Atlanta, from what I remember.
I still don't like Dallas, despite their success this year. I just don't like that team.
Yeah, they've had success. Yeah, it's always hard to like the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, I know I never can.
None of the candidates that are in play that just were jettisoned or retired from their teams, Belichick, Mike Vrabel, the list is getting interesting. None of them seem like a fit or an upgrade for the Seahawks. None of them seem to be the guy. And I wonder if there is an assistant coach with Seattle right now that has a shot.
Oh, I don't know particularly that there is.
And UW better figure out who their first choice is going to be if DeBoer goes, because he's on a lot of lists all of a sudden, both college and professional.
The big name that's being tossed around here, of course, is Jim Harbaugh. I don't know how much that would be a fit or not. And I don't know what you thought about him as a pro coach.
Well, we got close. I'll say that. The 49ers went to the Super Bowl with Harbaugh. And that's more than we can say about anybody else on that list right now. Saban, how about Saban? Interested?
No, they don't have Saban. Wilkes, the 49ers defensive coordinator, is on this particular list from Sports Illustrated. Steve Wilkes, with the Cardinals for 1 year, 3-13 record. Although you have to believe that something like that is a personality thing more than anything else. Mike Vrabel is out there. 41-24 with the Titans. I think he's an average coach. I don't think he's Brian Flores from the Vikings, the defensive coordinator. Eric Bieniemy from the Commanders, their offensive coordinator, is on this list.
That's a name that interests me.
Yeah, he interests me too. And he, he's worked with Andy Reid in Kansas City before he went to the Commanders.
I think that's pronounced Kansas City.
Kansas City. And let's see, Ben Johnson, Bobby Slowick for the Titans, Mike McDonald for the Ravens.
Every assistant coach they could find is on that list.
Yeah, so I don't see Saban on that list, but there's a lot of interesting people that are on it.
Maybe Vrabel would be a good fit for the Chargers.
I guess what you have to figure out is what is this team's biggest problem right now. If you believe that the team has a decent offense and that should be able to get the job done on offense, do you go out and hire a defensive coordinator?
Well, the head coach without normally brings in
I meant a defensive
for a head coach.
Yeah, for a head coach, do you go out? Do you hire somebody who is going to serve? Who has a defensive that was a defensive coordinator, then became a head coach. Is that your emergency that you need to fix as quickly as you can?
Well, if you look around at the teams that are the best right now, with the exception of John Harbaugh, he doesn't call the offensive plays. 49ers, their head coach calls the plays. Miami, the head coach calls the plays. In fact, Vrabel, now that I think about it, might be a good fit for the Patriots, having been one for so long.
Yeah,
Vrabel. There are teams, Vinny, in the NFL that have so much rebuilding to do right now. It's a job for a maniac because how can you rebuild the Titans? How can you rebuild Carolina? Where the hell do you start? Gesundheit. Ist besser als Krankheit.
Well, that's a huge thing that I think that I'm pretty sure you would have to look at is if you really believe that the defense is the problem on this team, what coach gives you the opportunity to fix it quickly?
The quick fix, yeah.
Who was the
Whether that
shortest path to getting that defense up to where your offense is?
there was a John, that basketball coach from UCLA. I can't think of it. John, and his quote is, "If you haven't got time to do it right, when are you going to find time to do it again?" So this choice that a lot of these teams are going to make has to be made correctly because the consequences are too great, and the penalty for making the wrong decision is almost permanent. So if you haven't got the time to make the right decision on head coach, when are you going to find the time to do it again? John, oh Jesus, it's not his name, by the way. It's a Freaky Friday with Mikey and Vinnie.
Yeah,
It's a fractious Friday.
One's brain is decapacitated, and the other brain is forgetful. Another name I like here is Mike McCarthy. That's on one of these lists as well. So the Times picks out McCarthy from the Cowboys, McDonald's, the Ravens defensive coordinator. We talked about him. Vrabel, we talked about him as the Titans fired him. I like him. He's a tough guy, Vrabel. I don't know how that works with his players, but
You know, it worked in Detroit.
the number 2 guy on their list is Dan Quinn is the number 1 on all of these lists. Strong ties to the Seahawks. And the number 2 guy is DeBoer. So what do? Do you offer it to DeBoer first? You're going to get a whole lot of Husky fans pissed off at you.
Well, they're slightly pissed off already, so at least you don't ruin the mood.
Because, here's a guy that came in and fixed this program in no time.
Do you assume his talents will translate to the NFL?
Yeah, I think so. Although I will say, Mikey, that I would like to see Kalen DeBoer stay at the University of Washington. I would like him to be there for as long as they can, as long as he can coach over there. As long as he can coach at UW and he's comfortable there, he took them to a national championship game. He could be there as long as Don James was.
He could be.
He could be there. Those the boys that hand out the envelopes will do whatever they can. Now, the only thing interesting about DeBoer is that he's going to get He's going to get a ton of money. And I wonder if UW will feel like they want to go in and raise his salary to be commensurate with coaches that are better than where he ranks in salary. He's the 44th highest salary in college football.
So something more along the lines of that would make Nick Saban happy.
Well, you'd have to find something in there. I don't think that I mean, I think the guy loves the game, but I don't think that he's going to stay there.
And remember, there's a new challenge as the Huskies join a new conference, and everything changes in terms of their season. You want stability going into a pressure cooker situation like that. Plus, they now have a reputation as being the number 2 team in the world. They're going to be a target for everybody to knock them off. And if you have to face a new conference with a new coach and a new team, that's a bad combination. You want to keep that coach. You want to keep your leader.
Yeah, let's see what the boys in the night gallery are saying here. Ralph Williams is saying that Jared Mayo was hired as the New England Patriots head coach. Raheem Morris is interviewing for the Atlanta job. And Vrabel is still out there now because New England hired Jared Mayo. Dan Quinn and Aaron Glenn will be interviewed, or Aaron Glenn will be interviewed by Carolina. So there's a whole lot of interviewing going on. There's going to be, the way things set out now, you wouldn't want to be an airline pilot because every time you cross another plane, you'd see a head coach waving out the window in another one.
And then just as you're getting settled and hoping for your first drink of the flight, the back door blows off.
How scary must that be?
Can you imagine holding on to your child and having their shirts sucked off their body and out the door?
My father would say, take the kid, leave the shirt.
Take the kid, we can use that shirt.
We got another brother, we can put that shirt on. It's going to be
it's musical chairs. There's too many openings. It's not good.
Well, it's good if you act early. You know, I sincerely believe that you got to act early.
I haven't heard anybody saying they want that Charger job, and I don't understand that. They're not that far away. They're not that far away from a good team. You got one of the Bosa brothers. You got a great quarterback. You have an extraordinary stadium. You have LA to play in. It just doesn't make sense that there's been no talk. And this tells me that weak front office of the Chargers is once again paying zero dividends. Take your season, multiply it by 10, and try to go into next year with a second tier coach. That's how you got in this trouble.
Commanders also whipped somebody from the Niners, it looks like. As Adam Peters goes to the Commanders.
As what?
General manager. Yeah, it's boy, it is. It's something to watch. See who's going to wind up where. All the tight media people are going to have to get used to a new coach. See, that's the thing that really shorts the media people is, you have to get used to a coach who's going to do things almost certainly differently than Pete did them. And Pete was pretty loosey-goosey. Pete liked Pete would stop down and talk to people in the press room. People would stop down Pete had this thing where he was a nice guy and he wanted to be liked by
Yeah.
everybody. And you never really got that with Holmgren,
No.
and certainly not with Mora. Remember, folks, Jim Mora Jr. was head coach of the Seahawks for 1 year.
And in name only.
Playoffs. Oh, that's his father, to be fair. So, I don't know, Mikey. It's the coaching merry-go-round. It always. Oh, another name that was mentioned that I saw someplace, and for the Seahawks, and I thought was interesting that he would even get the mention.
Who's that?
Our good friend and Jets head coach, Robert Saleh.
For the Seahawks?
For the Seahawks, yeah. Yeah, he was mentioned on a couple of lists that he might be somebody that could be enticed to make a move, especially if he sees that the Jets are going to go nowhere.
One procrastinator, one talking head yesterday said, should Pete have been fired? Should Pete have been let go? He says, if Gino is your quarterback, you can't be head coach. So that's a problem that's going to face whoever takes Pete's place. Who's going to be our quarterback? Where are we going to get a quarterback? What do we need in a quarterback? What can we count on? Who do we have in-house that can be our quarterback? Do we have to draft another quarterback?
Well, it doesn't seem like. Yeah, I don't have. Listen, a lot of people here have a lot of confidence in Gino. I don't share that confidence. But I guess that will be up to the.
Speaking of quarterbacks, who's going to be the quarterback for the Huskies next year?
Here's a good question.
Is there anybody in Puyallup?
No, I think they may have to go outside of Puyallup. They'll get one though. The great thing is they'll go find one. I'm sure they're looking around. I'm sure. I don't know who takes over as quarterback for them next year.
Because DeBorg's working on his offensive schemes already.
Well, DeBorg may be working on Seahawk offensive schemes as well as we know, for all we know.
Does that mean Michael Penix goes to Seattle?
Well, I was thinking about that, and that's an interesting. I mean, you have two quarterbacks in Seattle. You have one that's been given a chance, and while he's put some good numbers up,
does not inspire confidence.
It doesn't seem to be your quarterback of the future. You have another guy that's rolled through a game and a half, and I don't know that you know what you got, really. So I think when the new coach gets here, he's got a lot of evaluating to do. He's got to be looking at some game films, and he's got to be, talking to these guys and seeing who he thinks, can he fix what's going on with Gino?
In fact, he should do some evaluating before he takes the job, because that's going to be the major factor facing him. Everyone's talking about the efficiency of the defense. What can they stop? What kind of addition do they need to become more efficient against the weapons that they have to play the 49ers twice. They have to play the Rams twice. They got these teams that they know that are facing them every year. What do they need to add to their defense to make sure that they've got something that can stop an offensive machine like San Francisco?
Well, I think that you bring up a good point, Michael, is that you would think the Seahawks would want somebody who is intimately familiar with their division,
Mm-hmm.
with their conference, their division. Can get this team to go out and beat up on their division rivals.
I'm
I
away
think
from my
those are
desk.
the, yeah. I think that's who.
I've got a desk, but I'm away from it. Is that Bip Sugarman talking about the way we made fun of Kansas City?
Yep.
I knew
Says
it.
you can't
He's
do
so
that.
he's so sensitive. He's very, very sensitive.
Man, I am fucking freezing.
What's the temperature in my old hometown?
Let's spin the magic temperature wheel here.
36, I'll say. $37.
18 degrees in Edmonds.
Wow. I didn't expect that.
Jack, when I tell you it's cold, it's
No,
cold.
I want you to stay off that ice, Vinny. Stay off that damn ice. I don't care what you're driving out there.
I'm driving a fun little Hyundai Ioniq 6, which is all electric.
It's still the rubber has to meet the road, and if there's ice between you, the road, and the tires, it's a terrible recipe. Terrible
Never
recipe.
works out right.
Vinny, let's let you go. Let's put you back to bed.
I'm going to cut it short today. I'm just not. I'm really. I will.
18 degrees. Get between the covers and find that warm spot if you
I'm going to
can.
find a warm spot. I may have to go down to Costco and get myself a room heater or something like that. It is just absolutely cold. And then I will talk to you Monday.
On a miraculous Monday, who knows what will have befallen Donald Trump and the coaching openings. You know, Trump's going to have time on his hands. Maybe don't you think he'd be a good coach? He's a genius. Everything else he's turned his hand to has turned out so beautifully.
Oh, Mikey, I was trying to get through a whole day without mentioning that name.
You haven't mentioned it.
True.
Oh, I wanted one thing to cheer you up before you go. Headline in the LA Times: a bowling alley, a boozy night, and new accusations of a sheriff's gang. That's the headline. I'm not going to read the story because it can't be any better than that. A bowling alley, a boozy night, and new allegations of a sheriff's deputy gang. That's all. I just want to headlines make my day, and that one is one that we can clasp to our breast and keep with us for the rest of this chilly day.
Yes, keep that one, and I'm sure within another 15, 20 minutes there'll be
Another head coach opening.
A chase.
Oh yeah, we had two. We had two yesterday. I didn't get a chance to see the playback.
I saw both of them, and one actually resulted in some injuries. Was a head-on, and the other one was kind of a light one.
Light rail accident. Okay, Vin, feel better and stay warm.
They just get out of the car and surrender. All right, Mike, I'll see you Monday if the Lord's will and the creek don't rise.
The creek's frozen. It ain't going to rise.
Ain't going nowhere. All right, brother. Talk to you later.
What a wine.
Peace, loving, man. A Shevich, baby. What a wine.
What a wine. See ya.
See ya.